It's like 2 in the morning and I'm making this video because I was watching Dr. Phil on my phone and I was watching this episode called Violent Twins, and they were showing them being taken out of their home by extract teams, and the mom was upset and crying and they were cussing and yelling at the parents for doing it, and I had to stop watching it because it upset me beyond any point. I was almost in tears because I don't know how the parents feel, but I knew how the boys felt. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve it because they were really bad and they were doing really bad things, but I knew how they felt because it's happened to me. My dad has called the police on me before to have them take me out because I was out of control. And now I don't live with my dad. Like, if you watched any of my other videos, I'm in foster care. And it broke my heart because I was like, oh my god. Like, watching the mom cry, thinking about it now, I upset my mom on levels. And if you hear any loud noise, it's ice machine. I've upset my mom to that point because she had to watch. Like, you see these? I did those on March 30th of 2015, this year. I was upset because I brought a boy into my house. Well, into my dad's house. I was on a visit to my dad, and I brought a boy to my house. And I told him my parents weren't home because they weren't, that I know of. And all of a sudden, I'm upstairs, and I hear this fighting going on downstairs, and I realized it's the boy I invited over, and my dad. And I ran upstairs, and I decided I'm just going to kill myself. Because I knew what I did was bad, and I was already in a bad place. I think it was premeditated suicide, really, I do think. I think it was a premeditated suicide attempt. And then I went and I cut really deep. I bled out for a very long time. The only reason why my dad was not going to take me to the hospital. My dad took me in his car and we drove around town. We went to the store. While I had booty shorts on. I had my arm wrapped up like this in a shirt that was dark purple, so you can't really see the bow is bleeding. I had my arm wrapped up in my shirt like this, walking around, crying, in pain, not moving my arm, and my stomach was being red from blood, and my shirt was sticking to me, and my dad just drove me around town. He went and got his hair cut with me sitting there next to him with my arm wrapped up in my shirt still. And we drove past the hospital, and I thought he was going to take me to the hospital because I really needed stitches. And he didn't. He took me back home and told me to go upstairs to my room. I went up there, and then he came up and told me to give him my razors, and I gave him one out of the 6 they had. And then he left. He left the house, and I passed out. And then when I came to, my mom was sitting there looking at me, telling me I was stupid. And then me and my mom started fighting, and then we stopped fighting, and glass was broke. I broke shit. I wrote on the walls and marker. I was out of control. I wasn't on my meds that stabilized me, and that's my fault because I felt like I didn't need to take them anymore. So I just decided to pretend like I was taking them and put them in my hand and throw them in the trash can to make it look like I was taking them, and then throw them away later. And I don't know why I thought I'd be okay without them. Because I haven't always been on medicine. I just recently got on medicine because my parents didn't believe that medicine would help. And then when I got into foster care, they put me in meds. And yes, they do work. They really do work when you take them. Right now I haven't taken them because I'm out. And I'm waiting for the pharmacy to call so that I can come pick them up. But then it was 7 hours after I cut, and I was still bleeding on and off on my arm. And then me and my dad are getting into a fight. And I'm cussing and saying, I fucking hate you. You don't think I give a fuck about you. I don't fucking care about you. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. And he's saying it back. They called this lady that I could talk to try to help me. Since you're in foster care, you get this, like, your own little personal counselor that you can call on the weekends or on the breaks that normal people aren't working to help calm you down when things like this happen. And I couldn't understand a word she said. Sounded like she was in Africa. Her voice was really deep, heavy African accent. Couldn't hear her, couldn't really tell her, so I just was like, you know what, fuck you, I'm not talking to you. And then, I told my dad that I didn't give a fuck that if I was here or not, that I wish I wasn't here, that I didn't want to be there. And then he decided, hey, I'm going to call the cops on you, because you're not going to shut up. And then when I heard that, I took off out the door. My mom came and got me, brought me back into the house, and my dad was on the phone with the police. I barricaded myself in the bathroom. And I was in there for about 10 minutes, and the police were there trying to get me out, and I didn't want to be there. The paramedics showed, and they went upstairs, and they couldn't find me up there. And then they realized, oh, I'm in the bathroom. And I tried to get out the window, but I hit my arm on it, and it started bleeding again. And then finally, I let them in. I let the lady paramedic in. And she took care of my arm, and she said I was going to have to get stitches because I cut really deep, and that she couldn't stop the bleeding. And I fought them. I did not want to go because I was like, I know they're going to take me back to a hospital. And then they took me to the hospital, the ER. They stitched it up, and I was crying, and I was screaming, and for some reason my mom came into the room and held my hand, and I didn't want her to. I didn't want her to touch me. I was mad at her. But she still held me. And told me that she loved me and everything was going to be okay. That I just needed help. And it wasn't my fault I needed help. I'm so sorry I'm crying right now. She yelled at the nurse lady. When the lady was taking my blood, she let my arm go limp. Like, you're supposed to hold it out like that. And since I couldn't hold my arm up with this arm because I was getting stitches, she was holding it. And she let it go limp like that. And the needle went deep. And I screamed. And my mom yelled at the lady. And my mom told me that she only came in the room because she thought I needed to. Because she could hear me screaming all the way in the lobby. Getting stitches hurts really bad. And I hated it because the nurse aide was a lady I knew. And she saw me like this. Everybody thinks I'm such a good person, and I'm not. That I'm perfectly normal, but I'm not. I take meds to keep me happy. To keep me from yelling at people. To keep me under control. But not even my whole family knows. Only the people that are close. Like my grandma. And my stepmom and my dad. And my little brother, my older brother, and my sister. That's about it. The rest of them think I'm perfectly fine, and I'm really not. Being taken out by the police is hard for me. Because I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. But I am. I just want to say to the people out there that think they can control their parents and that their parents can't tell them what to do. Just know that you can end up in foster care or juvie like I was. I was in a detention center for a little bit because I ran away from a foster home. The people were the ones that hit their parents. Stop. I accidentally hit my mom and I was arrested for it. It was on an accident because she grabbed my arm and I had fresh cuts on my arm and she grabbed it, and in reaction to getting her off of me, I hit her. My parents aren't the best. And I'm so happy I don't live with them anymore. But I do not regret being part of their family. Because when your parents are gone, they're gone and they don't come back. Your parents don't want you around. You've done something bad. It's horrible. But me and my parents both decided that being around is not a good idea right now. When your parents decide that they don't want you around your siblings because you scare them, they're afraid you're going to hurt them or yourself, you need to check yourself. Make sure that you're playing with all your kings and queens. Because you can end up in my situation. And some people are. It's not fun. It's a struggle. Because you know what? If you go into foster care, you might get a family that's worse than yours. Or you can end up going into juvie. Because if nobody wants you, that's where you have to go. If you're so bad that they can't place you, you go to a youth shelter. And it sucks. I was in Hutch for a while. I was in the youth shelter in Hutch. I was in the detention center in Hutchins in Kansas. So for you people that don't know, Hutchins in Kansas. It's not fun. It's hard. And foster parents, some are very picky. If you don't have blonde hair, blue eyes, they won't take you. If you're not Mexican, they won't take you. If you're not what they want, they will not take you. If you're bad, they won't take you. No one will take you. Very few foster parents will take the bad ones. The ones with rap sheets a mile long. My foster mom didn't want to take me. When she accepted me, she didn't know I was a cutter. She didn't know I self-harmed. She doesn't take self-harmers because it's not easy to deal with them. I've been in like 36 foster homes, and I've only been in foster care for 7 months. That's a lot. I was in respite for 2 months. And that's where you just sleep on people's floors. So, maybe if anybody watches this, maybe you can take it to heart and realize sometimes your parents aren't as bad as it seems. Or your life doesn't suck as much as you think it does. Because when you're in foster care, you're just a case number. And sometimes you get lazy caseworkers that don't care. Like mine. Mine doesn't come around only when it's supposed to. Or you get lazy foster parents. Or you get the bad foster parents that let their kids beat you. That happened to me in my first foster home. And nobody believes a foster kid. And when you're in foster care, you can't do anything fun. Like, you can't jump on trampolines. You can't do fireworks on the 4th of July. You can't sleep over at a friend's house. You can't drop out of school. You have to stay in school. Most foster kids can't even get on the internet. Yeah. Most foster kids aren't allowed to have phones. That's how it is. When you're in foster care, you can only get your license, but you cannot drive. You cannot have your own car. You can't drive a car. You can only have your license. So think about it before you go and fuck up. And sometimes foster care can be really good for you. I'm not saying it's bad because I'm way better. I like it more than living with my parents, but I'm just saying sometimes your life is way better than what you think it is. I'm sorry for you guys watching me wipe my nose because I cried. I'm sorry for you guys watching me cry. I don't even think you guys want to watch this. But if you do, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something from what I just said, if you could even understand me when I was crying because I was babbling. But good night, guys.